I'm gonna go ahead and get started on goal setting. One of the things that I find that's the most important habit, action, whatever you want to call it, is goal setting. I've probably spoken in front of several thousand people. I've probably trained several hundred, and I've done a lot of these trainings and coachings for different companies, different organizations, and one-on-one sales coaching. And one of the things I learned from Brian Tracy, most of you know that my background is with Brian Tracy, and then vice president of sales for 2 companies. This was the #1 exercise that I learned when I was with Brian Tracy, and it was the #1 exercise that I thought was important when I sat down with any of my salespeople to see where they want to get started. If you've ever read the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of my favorite chapters in that book is begin with the end in mind. You know, we talk about football, Coach O, Sean Payton. You know, when they first start out, they're telling their teams, you know, we're going to go to the national championship, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. They've already got their goal and end in mind. So what they do is they work backwards, and that's what that one sheet, that goal sales exercise. But how do we work backwards from that? How do we know, you know, who do we want to meet? Who is our target market? How many appointments do I need to go on? How many cold calls do I need to go on when I'm in a certain area? All of that, we're going to uncover all of that. In training and coaching, I can't give you all the answers. I don't know everything, and I'm not here to give you all the answers. But what I am to do is going to hold you accountable on any goal that you give me, and I'm going to help you come up with an action plan on how to get that. And we'll talk about that in a moment as well. So how many of you are goal orientated? How many of you have handwritten goals and you look at them on a daily basis? Okay. One of the things I learned, and some of you might remember this, is Jimmy Valvano. I talked about that when I spoke in front of you guys several months back on one of the coolest things that I saw Jimmy Valvano do was have a positive vision on where he wanted to go with his basketball team. And what he did was that he had to get them bought in to what their vision is. See, most of us, we live our days, you know, every day we think about our problems. We think about how to put fires out. We think about all the things that we have to do on a daily basis, but we don't think about what's coming down the pipe. What are we really working on? Where should I spend my time? What action should I take on a daily basis? Even though I've got to spend some time over here putting out fires or doing my daily work, what are some of the things that we have to do on a daily basis that's going to give us the best results? Give you the best example, and I'll talk about it in a moment as well, but the Pareto principle. If you're familiar, how many of you have ever heard of this? The 80-20 rule. That 20% of the people bring in 80% of the business. And that 80% is always asking them, well, how are they doing? What are they doing to get to that? Well, one of the first things is that they have that plan. And so one of the things I learned from Jimmy Valvano is have that vision, but also have handwritten goals that you're going to look at every single day. One of the things I have to do, and I learned this from Jimmy Valvano as well, is writing them on 3x5 cards. If we don't look at them on a daily basis, what happens? We forget about it. I mean, it's just like anything. We come up with a plan. See, a lot of people are great at writing goals, but sticking with them is the hardest part. That's the hard part. It's not writing it down and looking at it and going, hey, I'm going to do it. Most of us in this room, and we'll talk about it next month, is we're procrastinators. We have a goal, we're really excited about it the first 2 or 3 days, and then after that it kind of dwindles. So we're going to talk about several ways on how to keep those goals, how do we keep them in front of us, how do we focus on them, and how do we come up with an action plan on that. So one of the things, I mean, I've got probably 15, 20 goals here. I've got 3 sets of these, and if you have a second, stop at CVS, stop at the dollar store, and get some cards. And once we figure out what your goals are, what you want to accomplish, you need to put them on a card and look at them on a daily basis. I flip through these. I've got a set in my car. I keep a set with me, and then I keep a set at my office. And I just kind of scroll through them. And really what they do, and most trainers and coaches and speakers don't talk about it, but goals should get you excited. Goals should get you like pumped up every time you look at them, what you've got coming down the pipe. Because every single day that we walk in this office, we're not going to be pumped up about cold calling. We're not going to be pumped up about putting out fires and getting on the phone with a client that's mad or whatever the case may be. But we will get excited about what are we trying to achieve? What is the what do they call that? What's the answer to the madness? Why am I doing this? What am I trying to accomplish? And what are the reasons for me to do this? So some of the things that I found too is that most of us, when we have a goal, I can see the people being optimistic. I can see the passion. I can see the excitement. I can see people coming in the office having a more of a pep in their step, I guess you would say, when you know that you're in control of something that you want to accomplish, that you are trying to accomplish something great. So one of the things that I like to start out with, and I'm a very simple person, you're going to see this in all my talks, all my presentations, I like to get to the root of something up front and make sure that we're all on the same page. I don't like to assume anything, so you're going to see that. I always look for the definition of something. And the definition that I have right here is the result or achievement toward the effort, which effort is directed, aim, or end. You know, when we go hunting, when we go fishing, you know, we've got that end in mind. We know what we're trying to accomplish. Same thing in goals, same thing in life. But a lot of things, we have difficulty when we're trying to achieve these. We have a lot of obstacles, we have a lot of setbacks, we have a lot of challenges. And then what happens, it runs right into that attitude that I talked about with you guys. Then we get negative. Then we get aggravated, then we get ticked off. And then what that does is then that shows to our customers, it shows to our teammates, and it shows that we're just aggravated. But by being optimistic and knowing that we have goals set and that we're going to get them accomplished, you'd be amazed on how positive that'll keep you. How many of you ever built a house before? Okay, and I probably talked about this in our talk as well. You know, when you go to a builder, you don't, besides money, what do you give a builder? Set of plans, right? You don't go to a builder and say, hey, look, I want you to buy a house, or I want you to build a house for me. Build it the way you like it. Put whatever doors you want on it, put whatever windows, build it whatever you wouldn't be happy with that. As I train and coach people around the country, that's the number one thing that I was always told was, Ryan, and we'll talk about this in our coaching, I didn't hit my goal last year, or I didn't come close to my goal, or my goals, I didn't write them down, and I wasn't comfortable writing them down, or wasn't comfortable trying to achieve them. What happens is that we have a lot of things that get in our way, like I said, and what happens is we don't realize how important our goals are. And so one of the things that I found, and this comes from doing a lot of research, comes from working with a lot of people, talking with people, and watching a lot of videos and doing a lot of trainings with Brian Tracy, myself. These are some of the things that I've come up with why goals are important. Because we need to know a why. What's the reason to have a goal? Why should I bother? Why don't I just live day to day, do what I need to do, and figure out, you know, what I need to do on a daily basis? And a lot of times, we don't hit what we're trying to accomplish. So having that roadmap to our success, having that set of blueprints, having that set of plans, that's what goals are. It's almost like me driving to Austin, Texas, and not having a Garmin, not having a GPS, nothing, and not asking for directions. I may get there, but it's going to take me a long time to get there. And if I can sit down and figure out, and on, like even on that sheet, you know, what's my goal? What's my target date? How am I going to reward myself? What obstacles? What are the solutions? Most of us don't sit down and think about what the obstacles are up front. And then when an obstacle hits us, when we write our goal and when we have a goal, it hits us like a ton of bricks, like we didn't see it coming. We know what obstacles are coming down the pipe. We know what challenges we have coming down the pipe. We know what things that are hindering us from reaching our goal up front. It makes us that much stronger to reach our goal. So why are goals important? You have control and direction in your life when you know where you're going. I see salespeople all the time that don't have goals written down. They just kind of live by, you know, fly by the seat of their pants, and they want to know why they didn't reach their goals or they're not successful, because they didn't take time to write them down. Most people that I know that have goals too, it drives out the stress and anxiety. It drives out the unknown factor of it. It drives out, you know, we don't know what's coming down the pipe. No, none of us do. But one of the things that we can do is we can control our actions and we control our habits on every day. If I see someone's habits, and I'll look at that when I coach you guys, when I see someone's daily habits, I can tell them how successful they're going to be. Even myself, I look at my daily habits every single day in the afternoon or in the evening, and I think about Did I do everything I said I was going to do? Did I make the phone calls? Did I go meet with the clients? Did I get out of my comfort zone? One of the things I learned about comfort zone not too long ago is I try to do this every single day now, or what are 3 things that I can do on a daily basis to get out of my comfort zone? And I'm going to challenge you all that. Because think about it, picking up the phone 5 more times a day. Maybe go and calling that client that you think might be too big, or hey, they're never going to buy from me. Maybe it's going to a, whatever it may be, going to a function or doing something out of the norm that you've done. Because I've learned this is that we've got to do things outside of what we're used to doing to start getting things we're not used to getting. So if we keep going down the same path, we'll keep getting the same things. But if we can make this path to where we're trying to accomplish things, and that's what we're going to think about too, is I want you guys to think. I want you guys to think about, yeah, we're going to have a yearly goal, but what's your quarterly goal? What's your monthly goal? What's your daily goal? Once you break that down, it makes it a lot easier. You know, think about the Saints. You know, they take it game by game. They take it practice by practice. You know, I've seen a lot of things with the Saints. I've seen a lot of stuff at LSU. You know, they're breaking down things on that day-to-day practice. So one of the things that we can learn from them is what can we practice every single day? What things can we do every single day that's going to help us hit that main goal? It ensures us to be positive about life. I'm telling you, the people that I know that have goals, that know when they wake up in the morning, that's their goal. They take their cards out, they look at them, and they flip through them every single day. They know exactly what direction they're going. They exactly know what they want to accomplish and what their reasons for. They're more positive about life. They're more optimistic. And the other reason why they're more optimistic, and I'll ask all of you this, how many of you have hit a goal before? I'm sure John has, all of you, right? How does that make you feel? I mean, believe me, I didn't think I was getting out of college. I didn't think I was ever gonna, I wasn't that person that really enjoyed college as much. I loved college, but, I just wasn't that, I was a BC student, a couple of D's thrown in there. But my thing is that, you look at college and think about college. College sets it up perfect. They tell you how many years you're gonna be there to get your diploma. They tell you what classes you need to take. They tell you how many hours you need to take. Break it down like that. Think about it like that. Think about, you've got a goal at the end of the year. How many hours do you need to put in? How many new customers do we need to get? How many customers do we need to keep? How many more products do I need to learn and sell and all the way down? That's the kind of mindset that we need to think about. Also, too, I talked about positive habits. One of the things that we're going to learn, it's not about your goal that's going to make you successful. It's going to be the person you become reaching that goal. Because once my goal as a coach is to get you out of your comfort zone, to help you strive and reach things that you want to. I can't make up the goal for you. I can't make you do it, but I can guide you along and give you just some solutions and ideas. That's what my role is going to be as a coach for you guys. I want to see everybody successful. Not that you're not, but I know all of us in a lot of areas, there are some areas, all of us, that can use some help. And I read everybody's questionnaire. Of course, all of us want to make more money. All of us want to, maximize our territory, maximize these different things. What are the habits are we going to do to do that? And I'll break this down for you. Help you save time. The next month, I'm going to talk about time management. Let me tell you something. The one thing I learned about goal setting, the number one thing I learned about goal setting, the most positive impact goal setting can do for all of us, is we know exactly where we need to spend our time. Because the one mindset that all of us will have is what I'm doing right now at this particular moment, is that helping me reach my goal? So when I'm on Facebook, or I'm chit-chatting with my wife for an extra 15 minutes, or I'm taking an extra half an hour for lunch, whatever it may be, is that helping me reach my goal? And so that's one thing that we've got to keep in mind. Also, like your direction, it gives you a sense of control. When people feel like they have a control in their life to a certain extent, they feel, like I said, more positive. They have more direction. They know where they're going. It's kind of like once you have a roadmap to wherever you're going. If you're driving, you're in Florida, you're going to see a customer. You know exactly where you're going in Florida to go see that customer. Don't you feel a little more sense of control? That you're not driving out in the middle of the Everglades and just, driving around and can't figure out where to go. I mean, think about that. Think about when we don't know where we're at and what we want to accomplish. And that's where the stress comes in. One of the things I find myself when I'm not thinking about my goals, or when I don't feel like I have a sense of direction, that's when the stress, the negativity kicks in. That's when I'm going back to my goals and back to, okay, what are my daily habits? What are my daily actions that I need to do on a daily basis? And you guys can ask questions as we go along. So if I'm going across anything, or if you want to wait in our coaching call, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So please write this down for me on your worksheet. There's 7 different types of goals. And all of us, and like I said, as we write our goals down, as we think about them, as we figure them out, it's going to be in the training section. Once we figure them out, I can help you all with any of these. And I can give you some guidance, give you some solutions, things of that nature. And a lot of these you've probably already accomplished. Were you able to print it on? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So you got physical, you got career, you got financial, relationship, self-development, pleasure, and social. Career, that's where we're going to talk a lot about your sales goals. Also, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? What do you want to accomplish while you're here at Smitty's? What are some of the things, and I want you all to think about some big goals. I'm not talking about goals that you think that you're going to maybe, or you might want to reach. What are some big goals? You want? Yeah, let's fill that one. Yeah. I'll send that to you. So think about big goals. Think about something that's really going to make you stretch, make you going to reach. And what we're going to do this year is set that last quarterly goal, and then we're going to set the 2020 goal. Because that's one of the things that we can start planning on, is how do we make 2020 just a phenomenal year for you guys and for Smitty's. So physical, career, financial, relationship and family, self-development, educational, pleasure, and social. One of the things that people don't really think about is that self-development and education. What can we do? And I'll talk about this every time I get with you guys, every time I get with you for coaching. Are we reading books? Are we listening to tapes? Not tapes, CD sets. Are we listening to podcasts? Are we listening to YouTube while we're driving? This little 40-minute drive that I have, I was listening to Brian Tracy goal setting on the way here, just to get some more ideas, some more tips. And as we do that, I'll send you guys, what I'm going to do too is, I'm going to send you guys text messages, I'm going to send you guys emails with videos, all kind of different ideas to keep you guys motivated and keep you thinking about our topic for the month. So you'll see that from me. But self-development is one of the biggest ones, and we'll talk about that knowledge as well. So one of the things that I learned from Brian Tracy, and I've learned from other coaches, and some of you might have seen this already, is your goals must be SMART. If we can keep it that simple, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. That allows us to really hone in what we want to accomplish. I've done this for years, and once I learned this exercise, it made goal setting a lot clearer for me. So I'm very specific on what we want. So here's what we got. What do you want to accomplish? How specific do you want to be when it comes to that? I want to earn $125,000. I want to sell so much in volume. I want to pick up 17 new clients. I want to pick up 2 new clients per month. By the end of the year, I'll have, blah, blah, blah. Who needs to be included on that specific goal? Who's part of your team? Measurable. Can we measure it as we move along? Of course. At the end of each month, at the end of each day, end of each week, you can write your numbers down and say, here's where I'm at. The people that are very specific and kind of, I hate to use even the word, but anal about their numbers are the ones that go above them. They're the ones that write them down. On Fridays, they look at what they sold, they look at how close, they're always kind of going down the pipe, scratching it down, saying, okay, this is how much more I need to accomplish. And then if they didn't hit their goal for the week, they know where they need to make it up for the next week and the following weeks of that month. So it really kind of gives you a breakdown on what you have to accomplish. So being measurable, that's very important. Achievable. We've got to write a goal down that you know that can be achieved. There's a lot of people that get in sales their first year, and John can probably attest that, they get in real estate when we're there. How many people wrote down $100,000 in real estate? Or they want to sell 15, 20 houses in Mandeville. Yeah. You know, like something just ridiculous. Now, if they would have put that back and said, I'm going to sell a house a month or 2 houses a month, whatever it may be, you know, depending on what team they're on, depending on what group they're with, that all plays a factor. So think about whatever your goal is, always mark it up a little bit. So if somebody wants to make, you know, I always tell people, if somebody makes $100,000, whatever, I know everybody's numbers are different, and I'm throwing out generalized numbers here, mark it up 20%. Or, what did you make last year, and mark it up 25% on top of that. You know, whatever you made last year, try to pop it up a little bit. You may not reach it every single time, but how great would that be if you were close to that, or halfway over that, you know, closer to your goal. Not halfway, but, you know, somebody wants to be 100,000, but they mark down 125, but they hit 120 or 115. How awesome would that be? You know, like I said, I'm throwing numbers. Everybody's different in here. I'm throwing some numbers out there. But I want everybody to stretch. One thing that a coach did for me, I wrote down my goals, and I was all excited and happy about them. And he said, man, you really need to put them out a little bit farther. Put them out a little bit farther. That's going to make you work harder. That's going to make you come in early, make you go to bed late, make you think about them all the time. I was watching NFL Channel last night, and Tony Gonzalez was on there, and it's almost true. Anybody that's successful in anything, really successful in anything, they're obsessed with it. And he was talking about how when he played ball, like, he was obsessed with his numbers. He was obsessed on how many sacks he was getting. He was, I mean, not sacks, but how many catches he was going to get. How many plays? I mean, he was obsessed, thinking about his routes, thinking about the plays that he was in, all these different things he said. He said, man, it was always on my mind. And that's what we have to think about with goals. Our goals have to be on our minds all the time. We need to look at it every single morning, every single afternoon. Think about, where are we at? Where, you know, are we close to that? Have I reached my number? We're going to have all kinds of different goals. I mean, how many new clients you want to meet for the week, for the month, for the quarter, for the year? How many new products are you going to sell? How many referrals? I'm sure that'll be a new one for most of us, on how many referrals are we getting from our clients that we already have now? You know, how much volume are we going to go out and try to sell to the clients that we have now? How much more volume how many more products can we sell to them? You know, if we're just doing 1 product or 2 products, how many more products can we go out and really sit down with them and see if we can build that business up? So we're going to have some really neat things. Why am I setting this goal now? Why is it relevant to you? What's the relevance? You know, what is it? Why is it important to you? Is it aligned with your overall objectives? And then also, what's the deadline? Is it realistic? You know, I never forget when I decided to write my book, I put a deadline of a year, and it took me a year and a half. But everybody's like, I mean, you'll never get a book done in a year. But I plugged away that I was going to get that book done in a year. Most people take 2 to 3 years to write a book. I did mine in a year and a half. So by setting that goal, kind of, you know, getting real aggressive with it, it made me reach it a lot faster. And so, but putting a time on, what do you call a goal that doesn't have a timestamp on it?
A wish.
A wish. You know, one of the things that most of us, we all have goals in our mind. I've got goals that I think about that are not relevant though right now. Goals that I decided to write down, but I know that they're coming down the pipe, but it's just not right now. And we'll talk about that as well. But here are the seven simple steps. The magic comes down, ladies and gentlemen, when you write it down. Most people don't take the time to write their goal down. I see people all the time, oh, I've got my goals right up here. Like I said, their dreams or wishes. Set a target date. What are the benefits of writing your goal? What are the obstacles? What knowledge and skills do you need to reach that goal? Identify the people who can assist you, and then have an action plan to go with that goal. So I want to take a moment right now, and I want you to think about a goal out to the right of that. I want you to write down a goal at the top, and then go down the line, set a target date for it, identify the benefits of that goal. Write 3 obstacles, identify the knowledge and skills. Just write a little some notes with that. And I'll give you an example. When I decided to write my book, I wrote it down, to get off your attitude. Like I said, I set a target date of 12 months, identify the benefits. It's going to help me get more clients. It's going to get me more notoriety. It's going to help me become an expert in my industry. I wrote down all the different things. Identify the obstacles. First of all, where am I going to find the time to write it? Second of all, I need to find an editor. Third of all, I needed to find a copy of need to find somebody to help me design it. Fourth thing I wrote down was to get it published. And I went down the line of what are the obstacles? What are going to be the hard things to get this thing out in the market? What skills do I need? What knowledge and skills? So the first thing I did is I went on the internet, figured out, I know a lot about attitude. I know a lot about, the topic on attitude, but what skills do I need to get that accomplished? What knowledge do I need to write that book? What knowledge do I need? So I actually got with a friend of mine that wrote a book and decided to get with him, and he showed me some ways and what skills and knowledge I need. So who can help you? Who's got the knowledge and skill set that can help you? Goes right to number 6, identify the people that can assist you, and then 7, put an action plan. So we're going to go through all of these, like I said, when we go through the coaching. But most people have never seen this before. Most salespeople have never seen how to write a goal. Most people will write a wish, or even if they write it down, they'll put a wish down, and then what they'll do is they put a little, yeah, I might hit it at this certain date. But what I'm going to need from everybody on this video and from you guys is just commitment. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take a lot of willpower. It's going to take some commitment, because you guys, most of you have been successful while you're here. Most of you have probably reached the goals that you wanted while you're here. But it's going to take a lot of thinking and a lot of digging of what else do you want to accomplish while you're here. Go ahead.
So just a question. So whenever we're coming up with these goals, like the 3 most important goals that you want to accomplish, do you almost have to have a prerequisite for the goal to be defined? Like, for instance, if my goal is to build a house and have it debt-free, that's there are so many ways to get to that.
Yeah, see, that's really not to pay your house off, that could be a goal. Mm-hmm. Because there's certain ways you can do, again, we'll talk about that. Setting up a side account, whatever it may be, or adding an extra payment a month. See, we're going to talk about the actions to get that done.
And you just basically work backwards from there to figure out week by week, month by month what you have to do.
If you want your house paid off in 3 years, really, is that realistic? Do you make enough money? What do you have to put aside for that? What do you have to, how is it every paycheck, every other paycheck? Do you have to put a certain amount down? What does that have to be? Is your wife involved? There's a lot of, that's when it comes down, I want to pay my house off. I want to pay it off in 3 years. Identify the benefits. I'll be debt free. I'll have that extra money to put towards my kids' college, whatever it may be. What are the obstacles? Well, I'm going to have to take the money that I spend on the fun stuff right now, or taking the kids to go do extra things, or going on that extra vacation. Going to have to cut that out. So really, those obstacles also can be some sacrifices as well. Identify the knowledge and skills. Go online. Hey, what are other people doing to pay their house off early? Because there's a lot of formulas out there that I've seen that you can pay your house off early. There's a lot of people that can. There's people that can show you how to do that. There's people even like financial planners and banks that know how to do that. So like myself, I don't know how to do it, but I'd go find somebody that can help me do it. And that goes to number 6, and then number 7. What's your action plan to get it done? So that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a breakdown of every goal that you want to accomplish.
I guess the main thing I was asking is that a realistic goal to have, or do you need to kind of
to pay your house off?
Well, yeah, I know it's a realistic goal, but do we need to be thinking through another avenue as far as what we're trying to get accomplished? It doesn't have to be work related.
Yeah, what I want to do, and let's go to the next one, and I'll go over that with you. That's a good question. So what I want you to do right here is I want you to take a moment and write down the 3 most important goals that you want to accomplish right now. Do 3 professionally and 3 personally. So do 3 professionally and 3 personally. You know, which ones, and I'll help you, and you know, John and I talked about this, I'll help you with personal goals as well. So, you know, if there's something that you want to accomplish, you want me to hold you accountable, help you, you know, come up with an action plan for it, absolutely. It's not going to take a lot of time out of our coaching to go over that. Because you'll see as we get rolling here, as we meet, we'll have our goals down, we'll have our action. We can always add goals too. If we meet month 2, month 3, you're like, Ryan, I want to add this. Something popped up. I want to accomplish this. This is what I'm thinking the timeline's going to be. Next 90 days, next 6 months, whatever it may be, I'll hold you to it.
To answer Taylor's question, I think that is a valid goal, Taylor, provided that it aligns with what you're setting out to do. Okay,
Yeah.
if you want to build $1 million house and in 2 years be debt free, but you're
Everything-
only making a fraction of that every year, not a realistic goal. Unless you're going to do something outside of this to generate another revenue stream, if you want to do that, I mean, more power to you.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting at. You know, I'm just trying to, I want to make sure that I'm thinking the way you want us to be thinking as far as these goals that we're telling you, because you are coaching us in life and in this business. And, you know, that's gonna, that should coincide in my
Or
opinion.
maybe you think I want to be debt free on a house in 3 years, but by the time you map out that goal and decide the action plan to get there, it may actually take you 8 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So then
Right.
you realign that goal to be an 8-year goal.
And you be more efficient as far as how to.
And then you don't stress yourself out in the next
Right.
3
Yeah.
years chasing a goal that's really not attainable.
And also too, goals can move. They can be fluid and fluctuate a little bit. You know, like I said, I'm looking at 1 year to do it. And after I got to month 7, month 8, and I still had 4 more chapters to go, I was like, all right, I'll move it. Let me move it back a little bit, but I'm gonna stick to that. So even if you move it a little bit, you gotta stick to whatever you move it to. But everything can be attainable. It's just like you said, like John just said, is it realistic? And that's what was part of the smart thing. I know people that want to set goals, and it's just like these, I'm going to be a multimillionaire in 5 years. Okay, well, what are you doing to do that? Let's talk about it. Not saying that it can't be done, but what are some of the things that we need to do to get there? And that's what you and I'll do in these coaching sessions. We'll talk about, you know, and I'm going to give you some homework. We'll talk about action plans. We'll talk about hot topics, some of the things that are kind of anxiety that's on your mind that I can help you with, that kind of thing. But goals are supposed to not be stressful. Goals are supposed to be like give you a direction. They're supposed to get you excited about what you want to accomplish. It's just the hard part is getting it on paper, and the hard part is sticking with it. Once you have a plan and you stick with it, and then you know what you need to do on a daily basis. You know, I always talk about, you know, how many calls do we need to make a day? How many calls do you need to make to your past clients, future clients? How many cold calls do you need to make? I mean, if you break that down on a daily basis in a realistic action plan, then that can tell you, like John and I were talking about when he was in real estate as well, as an example, you know, if you make 30 calls, I think, John, what was your numbers? You know, you still know your numbers on that.
Yeah, out of 20, 25 contacts a day, if I set 2 appointments each day, and that got me to my goal, which was 250,000.
Yeah, because you knew that one
And
of those
out
were gonna buy.
of 100 phone calls, I can get 25 conversations.
Yeah.
Not all of them are, you know, valid conversations, but of the 25 contacts, then 2 can lead to an appointment.
Yeah.
2 appointments a day got me 2 to 3 listings a week. And of those, I was closing 8 out of 9. So at my average price point that I was selling, that's what got me that number.
And that's
And
what, yeah.
Then I started to decide, well, you know what, I need to do more because 250 wasn't enough. So instead of doing more appointments and more listings, I targeted a higher price point. So I could actually do less and make more money.
Yeah. So yeah, there's always an action plan like that. And like he said, so his goal moved and then his plan had to move. Your plan moves as your goals move. So You know, I know some people that were in sales in the mortgage industry when I was there, they wanted to make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. These guys were coming in at 5 a.m. They were leaving at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. at night. These guys were hustling, but they knew they needed to get the nonsense out of the way before they could start making phone calls. And then and that's another thing, we'll talk about that in time management, but they time blocked. They knew from 9 to 11, they're on the phone. They're not doing anything else. They're not walking around. They're not talking to anybody. They've got their headsets on and they're freaking making phone calls and they're getting people on the phone, setting appointments, getting like he was doing, getting those mortgages.
7 a.m. to 7:15, I have a script partner in New York, Pennsylvania area. So we get on the phone and just objection to each other. 7:15 to 7:30, had a different one in Texas. Then 7:30 to 8, I took a dump, got coffee. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. was just solid phones. I had a headset, automatic dialer, push go, on calls, in 2 hours I was done.
And that's another thing.
Ridiculous.
And but see, he had a plan, and I'm glad you're going with that because that's what sets people up for success when you have goals. If you know what your goal is, before you leave the office, like when I was in the mortgage industry, I already had the people that I was gonna call the next morning on my desk. Like I was already planned out for the next day, so when I walked in, I wasn't thinking about who am I gonna call. I already had 25, 30 leads on my desk that I was gonna call the next day and follow up.
Where'd your leads come from, John? Of those 100 phone calls, how'd
A lot
you
of
make
them
that?
were web leads driven to my website through SEO or whatever. Had Facebook pages called like New Orleans Saints with 200 something thousand followers, and every so often just run a little blurb about house value to just draw them. They click on something, put their email address saying they wanted house value. I got them. Other things, they made tools where I can click and drag on a map. It would give me a whole neighborhood's phone number list and cell phone number. And I just download that Excel file, boom, that's my call list today. If I wanted to target Lakeview, I would target Lakeview for like a solid month. These people knew that I was in real estate.
Yeah, and that's a good thing too. Like, so when you guys are out in your territories,
But at the end of the day, you analyze the business, leads were like a 1/10 of my business.
yeah.
The majority of it came from my sphere, what I call the sphere. So people that you know and you deal with every day. So Brian and I, we play poker once a month. I'm always in Brian's ear. Who you know to buy and sell a house? Who you know that's wanting to invest in real estate? Even though he's not going to know anybody today, but maybe next month we'll sit down at the poker table. What's up, Brian? Who you know? I would drill Brian until he's blue in the face and he's like, look, I don't know, but when I do, I will let you know. And
That's when Brian just quit the poker game.
and then
Don't sit
also
next to me at the poker.
working previous clients in real estate is real big because chances are between 3 to 5 years they will buy another house, or they know somebody, a family member or a son or a daughter is going to buy. I was working on that too.
Well, that's the thing too. If you know you do a great job, you're going to want to go after the people that know you do a great job and ask who they know. And that's one of the things that, because if you already built trust with them, I mean, like spheres of influence, I'd have to sit down and learn more about it if your business more that you could do that. But when I was with in telecom, I sold long distance and internet. But one of the things, I got tired of driving to Fort Worth every day in Irving, Texas, and I had to see the Dallas Cowboys stadium every single day when I drove by. I got tired of cold calling, tired of beating on doors and all that. So a mentor of mine said, look, get with people that install phone systems and telephone networks. And I was like, all right. So I called a bunch of guys up around those areas and said, look, what do y'all do? Oh yeah, we go in there, we put brand new computer systems in. We put brand new phone systems. And I said, y'all work with any long distance or internet carriers? No, I don't. Well, hey, would you like to partner? I partnered with these guys, and I'm telling you, like I had 4 leads a day. People going, hey, I just put in a brand new phone system and they're with AT&T and I knew I could beat AT&T. Or hey, these guys just put in a whole computer system, they need a T3 or T1. Hey, I told me you're gonna give them a call. So
Does it make sense if you're talking, say, in forms of numbers, make 100 phone calls, you might get 25 appointments out of there. So can you better give your time management to where instead of making 100 phone calls, we can obviously do research on the people we're calling to only be calling the people that we know fit the business model that we're doing,
Part
which
of
is
this,
selling
part
oil.
of this exercise, we're gonna learn to pre-qualify prospects.
Because the more
That's exactly
pre-qualified
what
you
we're
have,
doing.
then I should be able to call 20 people and get 5 appointments versus calling 100 and get 5 if you know you're vetting the right people. Because there's certain people that you can call and you know that they're not qualified right away if they can't buy a truckload or if they don't buy the products that we sell.
And that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we're gonna go over in time management is this, and all of you know this already. 80% of sales is planning, 20% is execution. The more you can sit down and plan out who you're gonna call, plan out who the decision maker is, plan out where, if you're gonna be in a certain area and you're in Florida and you're gonna be in a certain area, hey, what is a 30-minute window around of more clients that I have not nailed yet or got down yet? Who can I go talk to while I'm there? And so, yeah, it's all about setting yourself up for success. And that's part of your goals. Once you know your goals, then you know where you got to go do that. Then you know, hey, I got to get 40 qualified leads. If I call 40, I know I'm going to get 10 appointments and I know I might get 2 sales out of it. Same thing next week, the following week, whatever it may be. So yeah, we'll go down the numbers, but that's what goals is all about. It's planning and having an action plan. Planning and having an action plan. Knowing what your plan is, and working your plan. Most people don't have a plan. They just go out, they'll go make 50 phone calls for the day, and they're getting the front desk lady. And then not knowing how to get past her. There's a plan of that as well. So there's always, that's where the skill sets come in. See, everybody can write down 100 grand, that's their goal, but all of y'all have different skill sets. So we got to figure out, when I sit down with you, what's your skill set? Are you great on the phone? Can you great at making a money? Most people couldn't do what John did. I know most salespeople that they'd have to make 200 phone calls to get to appointments. So some people are great on the phone, so that's what it comes down to as well. So did you do your 3 personal and your 3 professional? 3 personal, 3 professional? And see, what this does by doing these exercises, it's not that I want y'all to write down anything. You got to think about this. You got to draw yourself out of this. First time I did one of these, I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to make this. I want to accomplish this. I want to get out of college. How do I get out of college? Whatever it may be. But I gotta know what I want. It's like Christmas. What do you kids do every year?
Make a wish list.
Yeah, make a wish list, man. Dude, my daughter's already making a wish list for her birthday in May of next year.
That's a good analogy. Because
Yeah.
Everybody made a freaking list.
We make a list.
Exactly
What do
what
we
they
really
wanted.
want? Look, 90% of the people don't even know what they want. Most people don't know if they want to pay their house off. Most people don't know if they want a new car. Most people don't know if they want to go on a vacation next year. If you set all those things up and then have an action plan behind it, you'll reach it. But most people don't even sit down and take the time to do that. So that's the hard part. Because once you write it down, then you hold yourself accountable to it, then I hold you accountable to it, and then we talk about it. I'm a sounding board for you. That's what the exercises are going to be. So having written the 3 personal and 3 professional. So here's something fun. I want you to write a 30-day production goal down for me. A 30-day production goal. What do you want to accomplish in the next 30 days? So when I meet with you at the beginning of next month, what's a production goal? And think about something that, like I said, it's going to make you stretch, that you're going to have to make more phone calls. You're going to have to call current clients and ask for referrals. You're going to have to call current clients and ask them, hey, how are you doing on this? I noticed that you're buying this product from us, but hey, have you thought about these products? Or hey, I'm going to be in your area next. Every time I ever got an appointment, I was always going to be in that person's area. Hey, John, I know I'm going to be in your area next week, man. I'd love to stop by for a second, chat with you for a few moments, go over what I'm doing for blah, blah, blah company down the street. Great, Ryan. You know what? And I'd always give them 2 days. I'm going to be in your area for Tuesday and Thursday or Tuesday and Wednesday. Hey, I'd love to meet with you. So it comes down to that skill set. The 30-day production goal. Now I want you to write your annual income goal down. What do you want to, and let's think about 2020.
This year or next year?
Yeah, let's do next year. Write down, what do you want to accomplish in 2020?
So is that assuming you're going to hit this year's goal? So you know what I mean? So I'm still trying to get to this year's goal. If I don't, then
Your next year's goal changes.
yeah.
Well, then write down this year's. You want to write down this year's? Go ahead. Whatever your annual income goal this year was. See, you'd be amazed on how many people get into sales and they don't know how much they want to make for the year. You know, what is their production goal for the month? What's their production goal for 6 months? What's their production goal for the year? And then what is their income off of that? And that's why we're going to go through that sheet, that sales goal exercise. But like I said, this is making us sit down and think about it. Most of you probably have goals. Most of you probably written them down. Most of them you might have thought about it when I came in and talked last month. But drilling down on what we exactly specifically want and when we want it and how we're going to get it, that's how simple this is. And most people have reached goals without even knowing that they really reached the goal. Does that make sense? You know, they just, yeah, I want to graduate, or I want to start a business, or I want to get into sales, or I want to sell so many houses. But they say goals, it's the foundation, it's where we start, it's where we think about, we've got to have a positive vision. We've got to have a positive vision on closing out 2019, and then a positive vision of 2020. That's why all successful, and if you think about it like this too, all successful businesses have a business plan. Most companies that do not have a business plan, they don't know what their budget is, they don't know what their marketing budget, they don't know what sales, they don't even know who their client is. There's a lot of variables that they don't have, and that's why they say most companies fail within the first 2 to 3 years, because they don't write down the obstacles. They don't know what their challenges are going to be, but they don't write them down. They don't think about them. They don't forecast them. So here's the fun thing: we've got to reward ourselves when we hit our 30-day goal. Give you a great example. So when I traveled with Brian Tracy, I used to collect watches. So we did a 90-day production goal. So as we would go out and do Brian Tracy seminars and sell tickets and promote him, all the guys that worked with us, we all had a goal that, you know, we all had different goals. Well, one of the guys I worked with, this guy had over 45 watches. He used to travel with them. He had every type of Rolex, every type of Panerai, every type of, you name it. I bought my first Ball Messier from him. I mean, this dude could go in his house and he had 3 of those watch things. And so we'd always set goals of, okay, so if I wanted a watch, if I wanted a suit, whatever it may be, I'd go get a picture of it. And I knew where I was going to buy it. I knew how much it was going to cost. I knew the color of it. I knew everything. And let me tell you, that was the fun part, because for that 90 days, I'd go out, I'd cold call, I'd do all my meetings, I'd try to squeeze out every sale I could, because I knew I wanted that reward. And it's putting something fun with it that you know that you're going to reward yourself when you hit it. Now, if you don't hit it, you can't reward yourself. And there's a lot of times that I didn't hit my goal. Let me tell you, man, I wasn't happy about it. And so I busted my tail the next 90 days, or whatever the time was, to go out and do that. So it was like that dangling carrot. And sometimes we have to do that, so because any business, any sales, it gets monotonous after a little while. You can kind of get in a funk. You can get that negative attitude or whatever. And this is something that's a lot of fun to kind of keep you going. Now, one of the things that we used to do as well on an annual income goal, I mean, when we're in the mortgage industry and everything, we used to have, you know, my wife does it in pharmaceutical. You've got the vacations that you can go on or whatever, if you hit your certain goals. My wife and I got to go to Mexico and a bunch of other places, while she's doing pharmaceutical, because she hit her goal. Think about what you might want to accomplish. That same guy that collected watches, I'll never forget when I first started working with him, he used to drive this little jalopy of a car, and he wanted a brand new BMW that was out that year. And I never forget going to the BMW of Houston, go to BMW, we go drive it. He goes, remember back then, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they had those big old brochures on the new car that was coming out. And he took 5 of those brochures and he would post those pictures up everywhere. He's like, dude, I'm getting that car at the end of the year. I'm getting that car at the end of the year. And man, let me tell you, that dude busted his tail and ended up getting that car. So it might not always be something of that nature, but might be a new home, might be a new pool, might be a vacation with the kids, maybe leave the kids, whatever it may be. What are you going to do as a reward? And what I would tell you, go get a picture of it, go get several pictures of it, go on the internet, print it, whatever it may be. It might be, we're taking my daughter next year. Our goal is to take my daughter to on the Disney cruise. So we've already printed some pictures. We put them up when you walk out of our house My wife and I do that all the time. And let me tell you, that keeps us moving, keeps us, just kind of something fun to keep you going. So think about that. And if you don't do it, you just kind of, like I said, sales after a while, man, it can beat you up. If you're trying to stay positive, like you said, keep your attitude. Sometimes it can beat you up, man. So have fun with it. And but I would get pictures of it, put it in your office, put it wherever you can, look at it. One of the things, and this is why I do cards, we have to look at them on a daily basis. We've got to see things. When I was in the mortgage industry, we used to do the vacation or the big trip if you won the sales trip. But we would go to the local vacation person, travel agent, and go put the big pictures around the office as well. So if we're going to Cozumel, we're going to Bahamas, whatever it may be, we'd always put pictures up, and we saw them all the time. So we're very visual people. We've got to see things all the time. So whatever it may be, it's a little trick on how to reward yourself when you hit that goal. And then, like I said, it's kind of that comfort zone that we're kind of in that middle, that pain and pleasure. You'll feel the pain if you don't hit your goal. So whatever that 30-day production goal is, or whatever your yearly income goal that you don't hit, guess what? You can't go on the vacation. You can't get the new thing. So here's that. We're going to go over this. I want y'all to think about this. This is going to be very important for me when I meet with you on an annual income goal. What's your sales volume have to be? What's your monthly income goal? What's your monthly sales volume? What's your weekly income goal? What's your weekly sales volume? Daily income, daily sales volume, number of calls, number of appointments. Like John said, he had to do a certain amount of numbers, but we need to know our numbers. We have to learn these numbers, learn them inside and out. What is our production? What's our action? What's our habits? What do we have to do to get to that final goal, that annual income goal? Goals allow you to control the direction of change in your favor. Brian Tracy. Here's another exercise I want you to think about. What is one goal that would have the greatest impact on your life right now? What's the one goal that you can think about that would make you, it would just change your whole life completely if you hit it? Might be paying the house off, like you said.
Gotta build it first.
Gotta build.
Thinking ahead.
Get the deposit to build it. Find a builder. Always a lot of times it doesn't have to be about money too.
Well, I think that's my problem. That I think you will probably be able to help me better understand is like what one goal would have the greatest impact on your life. What immediately comes to my mind is be financially secure, because I feel like that takes away stress from a lot of categories in my life. But there's a bunch of different ways that you can reach that goal. So is that not an ideal goal?
Yeah, but financially secure to you, and financially secure to me, totally different.
No doubt.
Ryan might have, you might have a different meaning.
True, 100%.
So yes, you can become a minimalist tomorrow and walk out of this door today and be financially secure. I'm certain of it. Or you can live the life that you envision for yourself and your family and figure out how to be financially secure within that playing field.
And that's what we have to get to. So what do you, when we sit down, I coach with you, what's financial security for you? And then we go back to that exercise. Well, here's the number you need to be. What do we need to do to get there? What's the action plan to get there? Yep. So we'll go over that. And all of us are going to have specific. And if Brian wants to go to the national championship, we got to get him there. And LSU goes. With me with it.
Talking about losing weight, man. You set that goal, right? You did. You hit it. You hit it within a month or two, right?
Yeah. So and that's a great example. When people want to lose weight, we know what to do. Count our calories.
Hey, sometimes you even get help that you weren't expecting, and you got to go on an elimination diet from doctor's orders.
But everything's going to be different. All of us on this call today, in this meeting today, we all got different goals. When we sit down and do the coaching, we'll think about that. But think about the greatest impact. And what that does, though, is that makes you really think about how important your goals are. So another thing, do you know the percentage of Americans actually writes down their goals and looks at them on a consistent basis?
No.
It's actually not. It's actually a little higher than what most of us. 3%. 3% of Americans actually write down their goals and look at them on a consistent basis. And I always make the analogy, What's the percentage of Americans that make over 6 figures? 3%.
3%.
So there's a correlation there, and I tell people that when I do these sales trainings is, anybody that I know that wanted to hit that kind of money, or over 100,000, whatever, they had to literally sit down and think about, what do I need to do to get there? Well, how many houses, how many, new clients, that kind of thing. What do we have to do to get there? And so it's really just doing your numbers, learning your numbers. Most people don't learn their numbers. Most people don't sit down and, like I said, think about it. What goals do is it just sets the foundation, and they can move, they can kind of fluctuate. But if you set that foundation of what you want to accomplish, what's in your heart, what's in your mind, how's it going to affect your family, how's it going to affect your work, how's it going to affect your career? Like you said, what are the benefits of hitting that? I mean, you'd be amazed. Like I said, I wrote the book was published. That opened up the floodgates, opened up the doors for me to go travel the country and do speaking engagements and meet people and be invited to do coaching and training. I would have never been able to do any of that if that first goal wasn't there. So when I did that last exercise, is what's the impact of my next goal is to write another book on sales. So attitude in sales. What can that do? What are the benefits of, for example? More sales training, more sales coaching, more things of that nature. So there's always a benefit that we don't think about. And that's the cool thing is once you think about it, how does that affect, affects my family, affects my income, affects my career, affects everything. So what is that one goal that would have that type of impact? Not make more money, anything of that nature, but is it, to pick up 15 new clients? Is it to, we all wrote down maximize our territory, but really, maybe it's being an expert, product knowledge. Maybe be able to go sit down with any client and answer questions on anything that they need, service with. Might be building rapport with your clients. Some people are great at the knowledge part, but they don't know how to really go, interact with their prospect, with their clients or prospects. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, and everybody's going to be different, like I said, but we'll work on that. So here's some reasons why most people don't. I think the number one reason they say fear, I think most people write down their goal and they just don't stick with it. They just don't, they forget about it. They really want to reach it, really doesn't bother them, but also too, most people don't have a plan to reach it. If they don't know what steps are involved to reach that goal, then a lot of times they don't know what to do. So sometimes not knowing. So simply they don't know how. They don't know, like when I decided to write a book, I didn't know how to write a book, but I went to people that knew how to write a book and said, hey, what do I need to do? They gave me the steps. But also too, fear of rejection. Most people don't want to write goals down because they're going to go, like when I do a lot of sales classes, sales training, most people want to hide their goals. What if this guy sees it, or what if this person sees it, they'd laugh? Who cares? When I decided to write my book, I told all kind of people, and people laughed. People were like, okay, yeah, dude, you've never written a book before. What are you talking about? You know what? You know in your mind what you can get done. They don't share it with people because of that. You know what? I shared it with a lot of people. When I started to write my book, decided to share it, tell people about it, get it done. A lot of people held me accountable about doing that. So we don't ever want to hold it in. And when you guys meet with me, don't feel that, everything's going to be one-on-one basis. Whatever you want to accomplish, whatever, spit it out with me. Share it with me so, I can help you get there. Fear of failure. A lot of people won't write their goals down because they already have it in their mind, in their mindset. Their attitude is, I've never accomplished that before. I can't accomplish it. There are people that, want to lose weight. They tried, can't do it. They've tried to reach $100,000 or reach a certain amount of money, can't do it. So they stop. And that's what I'm saying. Most people just don't have the tenacity or the perseverance to stick with something. I think I might have shared this with you guys. I just found out several months ago that my great-grandfather, my mother's grandfather, in New Orleans, was the cucumber king of New Orleans. Didn't even know about this, had no idea. Oak Street in New Orleans. He started down in Oak Street, New Orleans. Yeah, I told you about it, moved it. Well, the whole word was stick-to-itiveness. I had to look that up. I'm like, that can't be a word. And it was. There was a word used in the late 1800s that you saw it all the time, stick-to-itiveness. And I think that's where most people fail. They have a goal in mind, and they just don't stick it out. They quit. They give up on it. They hit a couple of roadblocks. They hit a couple of challenges. look, I went through 5 different editors before I got my book finished. By the 3rd one, I wanted to kill somebody. I never forget, in the world, I was just like in my car going, okay, am I gonna get this done or not? And just got online, found another editor, and found another editor. Because that's where they talk about Thomas Edison, they talk about Walt Disney, they talk about all these successful people. But what they don't talk about is all the crap and hell they went through to get where they're at. Most people, we see people in the Super Bowl. We see people playing for LSU. We see all these people, and then they do a backstory, and that's what I love about it. They do a backstory on that person. You're like, oh my God, I never knew that person went through, lost all their family, lost their parents, first house burned down. I mean, they go through the whole rigmarole. You're like, and that dude's playing ball on Sunday, or that person's, big trainer, big speaker, whatever it may be, whatever they got in life. Most people had to go through hell to get there. So one thing that I've learned through a lot of those people, and that's why I love autobiographies, and I'll share things with you guys, that's what we need to learn from. The people that became the top seller in most companies, they didn't start out the top seller. They probably had to go through a lot of hell to get there and learn a lot of things, and a lot of mistakes and a lot of failures. Failure is part of success. Failure, I tell people, is a key ingredient to success. No one's ever got to anywhere without failing a million times. My wife and I have this conversation all the time about, if something doesn't work out, well, that didn't work out. I'm like, no. We got to keep going. There's got to be, you're that close. Y'all probably heard of this story. You probably heard of it, 3 feet from gold. You ever heard of that? Well, there's a gold miner out in Africa, and man, he tried everything. He tried every mountain, and he owned all this land. And he sells the land off. Another guy, he sells that land, moves out to, when they had the gold rush, he was going to go out there and go find gold. Some guy buys his land, starts mining his land, and found a vein. And the guy, it was only 3 feet from where the guy stopped. And the guy, it was the largest gold mine in history. But there's a lot of things, though, that most companies, once they become aware of something, though, they are closer than they think. Salespeople don't realize they are closer than they think when it comes to picking up more clients. All you gotta do is tweak a couple of things. Picking up, I'll tell you this, it's almost have you ever heard of the winning edge theory? You ever bet on a horse before? The horse that wins usually wins by what? The millions of dollars. The second horse wins for hundreds of thousands of dollars. See the gap in the pay? Same thing in sales. Somebody figured out how to get great on the phone. Somebody figured out how to get better at closing. Some people got better at learning their products. Whatever it may be, they figured it out just that little bit. They're not 100% better than the next guy. They're not 100%, they just figured out some tweaks that they needed to get better at. And man, their income, more sales, more referrals, better products, became the one-stop shop for their clients. So, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the areas that you think that you might need some assistance with, some help, and some tweaking it. They don't realize the importance of having goals, they just drift along. There's so many people that are like a pinball, and they just hop around through life. They don't have a goal, they don't want to reach it, they're scared they're gonna, fear of failure, fear of rejection, and they just don't stick with it. So here's a goal. This is something that Brian Tracy taught me a long time ago. And I want you to write this down. What is one great thing you would dare to dream if you knew you couldn't fail? I would be a professional golfer if I knew I couldn't fail. Dude, that's the life right there. Travel around the world, play golf, and all the different, have everything paid for you, everything. But it makes you think. These exercises make you think. Make you think what you want to
So you're not
accomplish.
looking for something realistic that you want in that one? Like you don't plan on trying to be a professional golfer?
No. But think about something though that I do that, and I make light of it. But think about something that you would dare to dream. And when I say dream, what's a big goal that you want to accomplish? What's something that you have in your mind, that you have in your heart that you want to accomplish?
Come out with your own marinara sauce. That'd be a good one.
All appropriate, all right there.
You can't fail. You can't fail though.
Sounds like we need spaghetti next week. Keep you from eating this cake.
Man, that's a good question.
So what is, that's my
Caps,
thing, is
caps.
it something real, or is it?
Start a restaurant.
It's real.
Depends.
Start a real
It
estate.
can be
Well, that
real.
would be real.
It's real. It can be real. Playing golf can be real.
Yeah.
Professional golf's
But
real.
he is-
Now, if you
he's
want to
not
grow
doing
wings and
anything
fly to
with-
Europe, that's
To be a professional golfer, so that's not a realistic dream. I mean, is it something you really want to try?
But you gotta think, the key word in here is you can't fail.
Can't fail at it. What would be something you want to do if you can't fail at it? I mean, some people, might,
That's not a question you can write down right off the bat.
I know.
Take
It's,
the fear- you take
you
the
gotta
fear
think
out of
on
it.
it,
You gotta
because that's
think on it.
huge.
and that's exactly what it is.
Nobody's-
But also helps you think about the stuff you're truly passionate about.
That's what this breaks down to.
Because,
For instance, I want to be a race car driver.
see, I started,
Patrick Dempsey, that dude went through his whole career, finally got to a point in his life where you know what, he's like, I'm not making movies anymore, I'm gonna race the Porsche.
So that'd be my second one. That's racing cars. Yeah.
that'd be a good go.
Yeah, golf and racing cars would be the two. If I knew I couldn't fail, I'd be all over that. But think about something too. Think about something that is in your heart. You're right. It's exactly what this does. What are you passionate about? If you would have asked me that 10 years ago, when I wrote down my goal in 2004, I mean, 2000, it would be 15 years ago now. 2004, I wrote down a goal. I did this exercise and I found my booklet because I got this from Brian Tracy. It was to write a book. I was like, oh, I want to write a book. I want to write a book. And back then, man, you would have thought that was like race car driving and playing golf. I was like, there's no way in God's creation. But if I couldn't fail, I definitely want to do it. And that was something I wrote. I never forget that. My wife and I were moving for my second house, and I flipped through. I got a bunch of the old books. Every time you went to Brian Tracy, something they give you that workbook. And in that workbook, I wrote that down. So think about something, and it can be personal. It could be if that's your dream to have your own marinara sauce. That's it, man. Do it. But all of these exercises is making you guys think. It's the exercise of what do you have in your mind, what do you have in your heart, what do you want to accomplish, why do you want to accomplish it, and what can I do to get Ryan to help me get there? What do you think the prophetic? So now you got 3% of Americans that actually write down their goals and look at them on a daily basis. What do you think the percentage of salespeople that actually write down their goals?
30%.
No.
This one's a lot higher.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
18%.
You're close, it's 20. 20% of the top producers. That's why I call this the top producer. Back to that Pareto principle. 20% of people bring in 80% of the business. John and I talked about this. As I traveled with Brian Tracy and travel the country, and I go do speak at big real estate associations and firms, 1 out of what? 50 real estate agents are really doing something.
So you say those guys write down their goals. Is it the same thing as making a list or an agenda to do every day? Or is
No, once you have your goal, then you make your daily agenda. That's your habits.
Yeah.
You want to lose 10 pounds? You've got to watch your calories, go work out, go walk. I mean, you're writing down your agenda of what you got to get done.
Yep.
If you want to be an expert in your industry, you're taking an hour out of your day, 30 minutes out of your day, learning your products, what's going on in your market, what your competition's doing, all of those different things. What's going on in legal, whatever it may be. Walking around, learning about what's going on in this office, what's going on, like I said, in the industry, what's going on, where Smitty's going, those types of things. That's if somebody wants to be an expert. So there's always action plans to go with that. Why do top producers have goals? They look at the sales professionals seriously. The most successful salespeople, they don't look at this as a job. They look at this is like end all be all. They're going to be successful come hell or high water. They know what they need to be precise on what they want in life. They're not wishy-washy. You meet anybody that's very successful, they'll tell you right off the bat. You can walk up to them on the street and ask them, hey, what do you want in life? And they'll spit it out. They already know what they want to do in life. Bah, 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 bah. Anybody that I've ever been around that's just highly competitive, highly successful. I mean, you probably go up to Drew Brees, go up to any of these guys that are in football, he might tell you exactly what they want to accomplish. Drew Brees, he doesn't say it, but he probably knows what records he wants to break and what's coming down the pipe. I'm sure he probably eats that every day. They don't want to waste time. You ever meet somebody that's very high performance, very successful? They don't waste their time. to get a meeting with them. I mean, how many of these business owners are you guys trying to get in with that are like, unless you got something? And that's one of the things that we got to learn. How do we get with those people? But most people in their mind, even myself, it's all about time. Where am I spending my time at? And somebody showed me that a long time ago. Somebody had asked in a class, how do you know what your values in life are? And the guy I was doing a class with, he answered, he said, it's where you spend your time the most. If you value your family, you're spending time with your family. You value your health, you're working out and doing things for your health. You value your career, you're doing everything you can to be the best in your career. So you can learn a lot about somebody, you can tell what their values are. You know, somebody says, oh, my family's my value, a high value, and they're never with their family, you know, they're full of nonsense, you know. So that's what do we value? And they feel that they're in control of their business. They know their numbers, they know exactly, I mean, how much control did you feel? When you knew your numbers and you knew exactly where you're at. You knew by month 6 what month 12 was going to even look like. Because you knew your numbers. You knew exactly what you had to do on a daily basis. And if you didn't do it on a daily basis, you're probably trying to make it up the next day. Probably make an extra 10, 15 phone calls. But when you don't know your numbers and you don't know where you're at and you don't know your store, it's hard to know where you got to make up and where you got to be and what, you know, all the different action plans. It's very hard, and that's one thing that I love about goals is it tells you exactly where you're at all given times. So we'll break it down, like you said, yearly, quarterly, monthly, daily, weekly. Why do we top producers achieve their goals? They have a burning desire. They believe in their goals. The first thing that I can share with you guys is belief system. Your belief system has to be there. You've got to believe. If you would have met me when I was writing that book, come hell or high water, I was writing that book. I was going to self-publish it. I was doing everything that I could do to get that book written. I mean, my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, she knew I was obsessed on getting that book out. And I just knew I had a why. It just broke it down. I knew where I needed to start. I visualized it. I used to sit in, this was pretty scary, I sat in 3 Barnes and Nobles and visualized my book on the end cap. I visualized my book in the window. And 6 months later, my book was on the end cap and my book was in the window. But I'm telling you, the visual, have you ever done any exercise like that where you visualize what's coming down the pipe? What you visualize going into a meeting, it being successful? You visualize that your goals are you're gonna reach that goal at the end of the year? You talk about Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, talk about any successful golfers, drivers, football players, whatever it may be, they all visualized, Jordan visualized making the last shot to win the game. Jack Nicklaus said he visualized putting the 18th green, winning the Masters. They just keep going over and over in their minds. So that's why by having these written down, having an action plan, getting with me, getting with John, knowing your numbers, knowing what's going on, being obsessive about it, that's what makes people successful in that. That's what makes people, and having a vision of going, I know I'm gonna reach that. I know I'm gonna get that check. I know I'm gonna sell that amount. And having those numbers in front of you, it's amazing. And having those goals in front of you, and having those pictures in front of you, it's amazing that when it happens, you're like, oh wait, it's crazy. But your brain, your subconscious kicks on, and all your actions, all your ideas, all your thoughts, everything is about creating that. You create that. So that's why you're persistent, you have no limits. You'll do whatever it takes. Stay early, go to bed late, make extra phone calls. Do whatever it takes, whatever goal you're trying to do. And I mean, I don't have the energy like I used to, but I'd go to bed at freaking 1 o'clock in the morning, wake up at 6, working on my book. Saturdays all day, working on my book. I just had that in my mind, I was gonna get that dang thing knocked out. And I'd tell you what, I'd be a multi-millionaire if I would have had that same mindset with a bunch of other different things too. Because I mean, if you can get focused, I mean laser focused on what you want to accomplish and let no, you know, a lot of us, what happens, and it's life gets in the way. You know, I was writing another book, I got sick, I mean, all these different things, we had a baby, we moved to another house, I mean, you look back and you have all these things, but even still trying to stay laser focused and knowing where you got to be and what you want to accomplish, yeah, are things going to not go the way you want it to go sometimes? Absolutely, but you still know where you want to be. So you just got to go around the potholes. And most people, they get to a pothole and then they quit. I'm done, I'm out, this is not worth it. How much, and also too, what's your pain tolerance? What's your pain tolerance? How much are you gonna take, how much of a butt whipping are you gonna take to make that goal happen? Because most people these days, they won't take a butt whipping. They're out, they tap out the first time they feel a little pressure, they get some anxiety or that mindset, oh, that's not gonna happen for me, I'm not lucky enough, that only happens to that sales guy, that's only, only those sales types, only those types of salespeople make it. That's all chatter, a bunch of nonsense. The number one reason why top producers achieve more, they're just disciplined. They just get it done, they know what they have to get done, they know, like I said, if they miss a day, they know they gotta get in the next day and make up for it. They know that they've gotta do whatever they gotta do, even when they don't feel like doing it, making the phone calls, getting with people, learning their products, whatever it may be, they just do it. Yeah, and most people don't hold themselves accountable. Most of us, we've never been taught that. That's the great, I was talking about sports, but most of y'all played sports growing up, huh? I mean, your coach kicking you in the head or those two-a-days, man, that really held you accountable when you played football. That held you accountable. And just, unfortunately, not a lot of people feel if they don't play sports, they don't understand, or they've never had a coach before, they've never had a great manager or a great leader around them. A lot of times they don't know what it takes to hold yourself accountable. So, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Jim Rohn. And so we're going to finish up with this. I want you to write this down real quick for me. Well, let's go ahead and do one more exercise. What are the 10 goals that you want to achieve in the next month? Just think about it. First time I did this, I couldn't even come up with 10. I've never forgot, I got to like number 6. Because I thought I knew what I wanted. I thought I knew what I wanted to accomplish. And but my main thing too, by coaching you guys and by working with you, is I want you to be able to spit them off. I want you to be able to spit what you want to accomplish. How are you going to get there? What are the action plans? What habits you're going to take? What disciplines you're going to take? What are some of the things that you're going to have to do different? How are you going to get out of your comfort zone? What are you going to do different? We've got to start feeling, we got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's why John brought me in and Chad brought me in, is to just work with you guys and figure out some areas that you all want to get better, to achieve more, whatever that you have in your mind, your mindset. And what is 2020? How are we going to make 2020 just a killer year? And how are we going to close out 2019? How are we going to make this year? We still got all of October, November, December, in which most people, by the end of this month, most people start quitting for the year. Most people that I know that are successful in sales, my best months ever in any type of sales position I've ever had was December. I don't know why, but December I would always do great in those months. I guess because most people quit. Most people, they chalked up the end of the year and said, I'm done. But the bell doesn't ring until the end of December 31st at 11:59. That's when the bell goes off.
John, we're gonna keep that sales goal same as next year? Or are you changing those up
He's adding to it.
on the what we're doing for the watch? Is that gonna stay the same if nobody gets it this year?
He's increasing some stuff, adding to it.
So, and I never got with you on that. I'll talk to you about that later. But y'all, you have sales things that go on,
As far as
like
contests.
Contests and things.
So what Taylor's referring to is that bonus opportunity on the commission program.
Okay.
The annual goal.
Oh, I got you.
But yeah, from time to time, not so much with this group, we run either a monthly, quarterly. They have individual quarterly goals.
Yeah.
So they're chasing their own numbers with a monetary payout.
Yeah. All right, so that's something that will once again make you think, makes you what you want to accomplish. We're out of time now, but here's what I want to leave you with this. What you get by achieving your goal is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. The people that I know that get disciplined, they know their habits, they know their daily actions. They're the ones that doesn't matter if they leave Smitty's, go to another company, or whatever they're trying to do in life, they accomplish their goal every single time because they know the secret sauce to doing it. And they know how to hold themselves accountable and get things done. The cool thing is, John brought me in, you know, they say 83% of people that are held accountable by someone, a coach or a mentor, get things done faster. So hopefully I'll be able to help you guys, you know, whatever goal it may be open, be honest with me, whatever you want to accomplish. Like I said, I'm not the end all be all, I don't know all the answers, but I can give you solutions and help you work through any obstacles and challenges that you may have. Do y'all have any questions? And if you're on this, you can always email me or you can just wait and ask me when we get into a coaching call.